Dzień dobry. Witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie na wyjątkowej debacie z udziałem wyjątkowych gości. Dzisiejsza debata, dzisiejsze wydarzenie jest organizowane wspólnie przez Akademię Kultury Społecznej i Medialnej w Toruniu, Biuro Współpracy Międzynarodowej i Międzyuczelnialnej realizujący program Erasmus+, oraz Regionalny Ośrodek Debaty Międzynarodowej w Toruniu. Dzisiaj goście specjalni, bo aż z odległej Nigerii, a jednocześnie temat, który chcemy dzisiaj poruszyć, niezwykle istotny, bo nie tylko obecny w mediach masowych, ale również w wielu raportach organizacji pozarządowych, a mianowicie kwestia masowych migracji, ale też i prześladowań katolików, chrześcijan w Nigerii, na świecie, ale też w kontekście tego, jak my, Europejczycy, jak Unia Europejska, jak świat, winien na te niepokojące, dość niepokojące aspekty współczesnego świata reagować. Ze względu na naszych wyjątkowych gości pozwolę sobie teraz przejść na język angielski po to, by był zrozumiały dla gości z odległej Norwegii, z odległej Nigerii. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you very much that you accepted my invitation for this special debate, which is organized together by the St. Mary Polytechnic in Suleja, Nigeria, the University of Social Media Culture in Toruń, Poland, also by the program Erasmus+, but also by the Regional Center of International Debates, which is the project created together by our university and the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
Thank you very much that you accept my invitation.
Thank you for inviting
Thank you very
us.
much for the invitation in the first place.
Today, just I said to our Polish viewers, special guest, so I will try to present yourself by using your name and surname. At the first, I want to say hello to Father Bishop Martin Igwemezi Uzukwu.
Thank you very much, and we begin this program in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Peace be with you all.
And with your spirit.
Thank you very much. Our another special guest is Sister Idunania Ugwoha. Ifunania Ugwoha.
Thank you very much and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Our another special guest, Father Samaila Benedict Bahago.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
And our another special guest is Father Anthony Chijioke.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. And our another special guest, Father Thomas Malachi Kure.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Dear Father Bishop, dear sister, dear fathers, you represent Nigeria. Nigeria, which is in some way also present in Polish media, also in Polish schools, in our lectures dedicated to the current problems in the world, mainly through the aspect of some negative elements of today's world, which means the religious tensions, the religious persecutions, but also mass migration, who impacted to all people in the world in some way. As you know, we live in a very extraordinary times, and a lot of, let's say, negative factors also impacted into the people all over the world, even in Poland. Because of the war, because of the tensions, we have a lot of refugees, mainly from the Ukraine. But yes, this is the process which is all over the world. You represent Nigeria. Please, can you describe in a few words Nigeria? What kind of the country it is? Who want to start?
Yeah. Nigeria, as we always describe our country, it's a country made up of diverse cultures, what we call multicultural country. It's one of the few countries in the world where you have over 500 various dialects, and that means over 500 different cultural identities, also different cultural values. You have major dialects, you also have minor dialects, what we call in Nigeria minorities. There are majorities and minorities. So from the southern part to the northern part, eastern part to the western part of Nigeria, you have those quite a number of over 500 various dialects. And so then secondly, Nigeria is a country that has three major religions. You have Christianity, you have Islam, and you have what we call traditional religion. So these three are strongly being operated in Nigeria by different, so you have a kind of three different faiths, people professing Christianity, people professing Islam, people professing traditional religion. And it's one of the few countries in the world that those three religions, we intermingle. We also intermarry. You can find a traditionalist marrying a Christian marrying a Muslim marrying. So that is the kind of country called Nigeria. Then when you come to religion, as in Nigeria, there is a very big propaganda. The Muslims claim they are majority. The Christians will say they are a majority. The traditionalists may not argue because truly they are in a smaller number compared to, but there is that propaganda of numbers. But one thing that is very, very true is that Christians and Muslims are very committed to whichever faith they practice. Now, the problem in Nigeria comes in when you come to religion and identity. Almost the whole of northern part of Nigeria, you have a very major Muslim identity. The Muslims are more. And when we talk about northern Nigeria, you're talking about almost 16 states out of 36. They are all in the northern region. Somehow, including the federal capital, Abuja, though it's in the middle belt, but the Muslims will tell you it's in northern Nigeria. So that is the kind of propaganda I'm talking about. So if you look at the northern part, you have, though there are Christian minorities, I am from part of the minority in the northern part of Nigeria. I'm in a state called Kaduna State, and we have southern Kaduna, which is predominantly Christian, almost 100% Christian. You have the northern part of Kaduna, which is 100% Muslim. So the northern part will claim there are no Christians even at all sometimes. When you meet those Muslims who have not gone to school and who have never traveled out, who feel because the whole of this vicinity is Muslim, they will tell you the whole of northern Nigeria is Muslim, which is not true. We have quite some numbers, even in the core northern part of Nigeria, where you talk of Kano State, Katsina State, Sokoto State. These are states that are far, far north. You still have Christian minorities among those. So this propaganda of Muslim being the highest number in Nigeria may not be true, but we have problem of adequate census report. Even if the government conducts a census, at the end of the day, you cannot verify the figures. In the northern part, sometimes we are told even animals are counted as human beings. But they are not verifiable because of religious regulation in the north. They practice what is called Sharia law. So if there is census, truly, a male staff may not be allowed to enter certain Muslim compounds for head count. So those are challenges that sometimes when you talk about numbers in the northern part, it's difficult to verify because there is restriction. You as a male staff now, whether you are an international observer, you are limited as to accessing information in certain areas in the northern part because of religious values, which we respect. They have restriction. There are compounds that tell you women are there, men are not allowed to enter, or it must be a married man. If you're a bachelor, you cannot enter here. So how many people are there, you cannot verify. They give you few. So those kind of complexities are there. But what I'm emphasizing is there's a propaganda of numbers between Christians and Muslims, which is difficult to verify based on media information. You see numbers. The southern part of Nigeria, predominantly Christian, with little to no Muslim at all. You find any Muslim in southern part, maybe there could be business, men or women, traders, who have moved north, down, south to make their living by trading their products, selling and buying. So in the western part of Nigeria, you have quite numbers of converted Westerners into Islam. So you have Christians and Muslims. There are some households you could find 3 people, maybe 1 a Christian, 2 a Muslim. That is mostly in the western part. But you also have good number of Christians. So those two religions are very, very strong, and we hold on to our practices. But you are into journalism, so you understand the concept of cultural superiority. And this cultural superiority, I used to interpret it as just man's injustice to his fellow man. When you feel another culture or religion should be higher or more valued than the other. So that is the major problem in Nigeria. That for whatever reason, the Muslims feel Islam should be placed at the top of Christianity. So if you are a Christian, of course you are a citizen, but up north, you may not be seen as a true Nigerian citizen. Especially among those hard-die Muslims, core Islamists who hold on to the values of Islam, and you come up, you show up as a Christian, they don't see you as a citizen. But if you come from Poland, for instance, if Polish were to be a Muslim country, and you move in from Poland to that northern part, you are accepted as one of them.
Yeah.
So that has been the practice.
Politics.
In my state, in northern Nigeria, there are some quarters up north I go, I'm not recognized as an indigenous of that state. And I would never be given certain favors that indigenous of the same state will benefit. These are realities. These are realities that are verifiable. If you come to my state, what I'm saying, I can prove them to you. If you go in and you go with the information I give, it is verifiable. That Islam somehow, and sometimes when we look at how Islam is practiced in the Arab world, say in other Arab countries, and you come back home, you wonder how we got ours wrong. But there is that superiority culture problem, that the Muslim feels a Christian should be a second-class citizen. A Muslim feels there are certain things that they should benefit, maybe a Christian should not benefit as citizens of the same country. So that has been a very big challenge. And then the second is propaganda of numbers. No Muslim will ever agree that Christians are more than them in numbers. No. And when you come to the politics of the country also, there is this strong feeling also that power must never leave the Muslims, the hands of the Muslims. So whatever happens in the politics of the country, there is always that attempt, that struggle to make sure that a Muslim is made at least the president of the country. Every other thing can follow. So when it comes to politics also, because of that cultural superiority, religious superiority, they feel other parts of the country must come under the strictly Muslim north. So even if for any reason somebody from the south or west must be a president, he must be a Muslim. And you know the current president we have is from the western part, but it's a Muslim. So sometimes, but among also, there are also few Muslims who are neutral-minded. There are few of them who are neutral-minded. They don't mind where a president comes from. They are advocating for good governance. We also have a few number of them. We will not dispute that. There are quite a few number of them. When you hear them speak, you know that this person is neutral-minded. For example, in our diocese, Mina, we had a governor that came in as a governor who was very, very neutral-minded. Governor Babangida. He had no problem appointing a Christian. A Christian was his chief of staff in government house. And you know that is a very rare for a governor to make a Christian his chief of staff, somebody who looks after what you eat and all that. But he did that. He appointed commissioners into the cabinet with Christians and Muslims and all that. Now, in the same state, if before he came in as governor, if you are a Nigerian and you are not from that state, and you were to be given a teaching appointment, you will be treated as a second-class citizen. You wouldn't be given the entire benefits that indigents of that state will get as teachers. And your appointment was restricted on contract. So when this man came in as governor, he said, no, anybody contributing to the growth of the state should be given a good status, like every other citizen. So he removed that lien of contract and converted all appointments to be normal appointments. So we have few neutral-minded Muslims. If left for them, everybody should be seen as a citizen, working for the good of the country. But in most cases, far north, you may be aware of the Sharia law in the northern states. Sometimes in the past was implemented. So it's like having two constitutions in one country. You have the northerners want to be governed by Sharia law, and in the south they said no. So even in the north, those of us who are minorities, it was difficult. We had to fight it out. If you want to practice Sharia law in my state, for instance, it means dividing the state into two. The southern part were Christians, and we don't understand what Sharia law. Now, that has led the northern part into a lot of crisis, Yeah, so all in the name of religion, Christian, Muslim relationship. When we were growing up as children in the 70s, we never experienced that friction. Somehow along the line, indoctrination, false teaching by clerics, they indoctrinate the minds of young people, and eventually, when we're growing up, Christian, Muslim children, we school together, we go to each other's home, we eat and play together. But over time, that has stopped because of this emphasis on Islam, a superior religion, and if you are not one, they see you as an infidel. That is one who doesn't even believe in God at all. So they call you kafir. And kafir means one who has no religion. But it's not true. We have religion. We are Christians. We practice Christianity. We believe in God. Okay? So that has been the religious undertones of Nigeria, and these are verifiable. The southern part, what we call the Middle Belt, is also a good number of Christians and Muslims living together. So as I'm talking, I'm not sure if anybody can tell me exactly which religion has the highest number of Nigerians, because until it is verifiable in a more scientific way, without any coverings based on religious values, if people are given opportunity to access every compound, every human being, scientifically, machines, and if it is by way of biometrics, that people can come out and are captured, and this is the number of people that are in this house, not including animals or inanimate things, then we can stand to say yes. If the Muslims are more, no problem. But as long as there are restrictions, it's difficult to tell who are in majority between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria. But we live together, we school together. Even in St. Mary's Polytechnic, the bishop, he gives appointments to Muslims who are qualified to teach. We admit Muslim students who are qualified to be admitted for programs. We don't show any discrimination. That has been our experience of Christianity and Islam. Traditional religion, traditionalists, they have no problem. They practice their traditional religion. And their own is built on mysteries. So if you tamper with their mysterious way of doing things, you pay for it. Their own is retribution. They have shrines where they do their worship and things like that. So that is, for me, Christianity in Nigeria and the challenges we face every day. And sometimes there are places you go in far north, you don't feel confident to identify as a citizen because you're not sure of how they will describe you. Yes, but we find ourselves surviving.
I think, Father, you mentioned about a very important element of our work as a teachers,
Yeah.
that every fact must be checked.
Yeah.
And we cannot just, as a blind followers, just believe what we see in the mass media. Sometimes we have to double or even triple check.
Yeah.
The common knowledge about Nigeria here in Poland is probably from the mass media. Sometimes it's a problem. Sometimes we, a teacher, must go to the school and just teach even where Nigeria is located or what it's really happened, especially in the north part where the Sharia law and also some, let's say, fundamentalist groups are active. I think everyone in Poland heard about Boko Haram.
Yeah.
Most of the knowledge about Nigeria and Boko Haram activities through the mass media, and usually it's a very sad story. What happened? I think the girls from the Chibok school,
Yes.
as like the legend that it was the most, let's say, sad story about the Nigerian rebellion in the north and the creation, the trying of creation, the caliphate
Yes.
under the Islamic State patronage. And it was 10 years ago, and still somehow this story exists in our mass media. The general knowledge about Nigeria is that the north is dominated by the Muslim people, the south is dominated by the Christian people. I think a lot of people in Poland, but also in many other European countries, are interested how is it to be the Christian person in Nigeria? Is it safe, or you must maybe hide your identity?
No, even in the north, like you mentioned Chibok girls, Chibok is in far northeastern Nigeria, Borno State. But like I told you, there are Christian minorities. So that village called Chibok is Christian. There are Christians there. And that was why that girls' college was targeted. And the meaning of Boko Haram, Boko in Hausa, Boko means learning, Western knowledge. That is, school. Then Haram, forbidden. So the meaning is Western education is forbidden. In the core northern states, they rather advocate for Islamic education, which, truly speaking, though is good, but it does not take one far to the world stage. If you must come out to the world stage, you need proper Western or formal education. So Chibok is a minority with Christians, but surrounded by majority Muslim. So that is the situation in most northern states. You have some enclaves of Christians because if you read the history of Islamization of northern Nigeria, actually most populations were natives. Natives mean traditionalists, and Islam came, Osman Dan Fodio came, fought the jihad, and many got converted into Islam. But there were still some enclaves that resisted Islam and survived under Christianity. The missionaries came and some of them accepted Christianity even before Islam reached those enclaves. So in the far north, truly speaking, there are some areas that your practice of Christianity is restricted. I have a priest friend from Kano, and those are the areas that you have minority Christians that you may be afraid to freely practice your faith as a Christian. It's true. In the core northern region, there are some areas that you as a Christian will be afraid to identify yourself truly as a Christian. That is never a lie. So, but we thank God, with social media now, whatever you do, you may not know somebody is videoing. So a lot of those things that were happening to those minorities before that. And last year there was an international conference. I presented a paper on biased media coverage, and a lady from Malta, she said to me, "Why do I feel that?" I told them, in Nigeria, for instance, there is supposed to be global coverage of minorities. These minorities that are suffering silently because of their religious identity, they are denied access to education, they are denied access to basic facilities like water. If you go to those states and where you have predominantly Christians, the government does not give them water. You won't see Bible water. You won't see good schools. Even the good schools, they won't provide good facilities or teachers. No. And the simple reason is because they are Christians. Because we are Christians. And then you move into a predominantly Muslim community and you see facilities, everything. So that kind of persecution based on religion, because you're a Christian, and the same thing applies to admissions into school. I have always told the story of my name. If you say Bahag or Samaila, that was my name from primary school up till when I entered the major seminary, before my confirmation name was added to my results. But from my primary certificates, you check, you see Bahag or Samaila. And these are all Hausa names, Arabic names, so to say, because Hausa is a translated version of Arabic, Hausa language. And if my parents had not given me those Bahag or Samaila, it means it's possible I wouldn't have gone to school. From your name, in those days, they know who is a Christian and who is not. So if you go to Southern Kaduna, where I come from, majority of names up to the early 70s, if you see any general in the army, you observe the names are all Arabic. You have General Yahya Daki, you have General, all those names, because in those days, you had no option but to use Muslim names to go to school. And when you get to school, when we're in secondary school, in boarding houses, Indians were teaching us. So few Indians were Christians, but they will wonder why you wouldn't identify yourself as a Christian. I will always tell them, if it is known here, I may be expelled. And things like that. Mm-hmm. So those things, they happen. And sometimes when you tell this story at global level, Muslims, they counter them. If you interview Muslims, some of them, they counter them. But we grew out of such experiences. And up to today, in core northern states, like you asked, there are people who are afraid to identify themselves as Christians based on this religious persecution, and they know that my family, we have Muslims and Christians. Some of my sisters, they got married to Muslims. And one of my nephews married a Muslim, a lady from a Muslim background. So I visit Muslim families. My brothers and sisters are there, so I visit them and they visit us. But that does not stand in the way of this religious persecution. My elder brother picked my sister's son from a Muslim house and put him in a minor seminary, in a Christian school. So, and the boy grew up and decided to be baptized. And he finished minor seminary. Then, for him to go to the major seminary in Kano, which is his home state, he risked dying. He couldn't go. And he's there in Kano now because of the influence of what? Islam. His father is a Muslim, and the father told him, well, you are free to make a choice, but whatever happens, do not mention my name and all that. So there is that serious concern in the far northern region about Christian identity. Also, there are some enclaves that Christians are free. They can identify themselves as Christians. If you go to Sokoto Diocese, Katsina Diocese, there are enclaves. These are core northern states, but Christians are free. Yeah, they are proud to come out, but that persecutive aspect is always there. You see, the Christian regions are not developed like the Muslim areas. That is true. It can be verified. If anybody find a journalist, go up, just take a tour and you look at predominantly Christian areas, you assess them yourself, and you ask questions, where can we find enclaves where Christians are? You do the assessment. And you see what I'm saying is what is on the ground. But in the media, there is no proper verification or coverage. Sometimes you go to a state in the north, you interview a governor, for instance, a big man who sits there, who may not even be aware of the agenda being carried at the grassroots level. And they tell you, oh no, our state, we are trying our best, we try to provide facilities for everybody, but in the real sense, it's not for everybody. There are those being neglected based on religion. And I'm from one of the northern states, and I'm sure what I'm saying. So,
in many reports of the non-governmental organizations, but also the governmental bodies like White House, Parliament of the UK, or just organizations like Open Doors, Pew Research Center, Nigeria is rather on the top of the list with the huge number of the people who are suffering because of the religious persecution. Today, Christians are exposed to torture, rapes, sexual violence, kidnapping. That such stories exist in the mentality of the people in the world because mass media are concentrate of such acts of violence because of the religious persecutions. Every year on August there is a special date, 22nd of the August, dedicated to the victims of the religious persecutions. Also in November is a red week to commemorate, to remember about the people who are suffering because of such act of violence because of the religion. I think that the simplest question is why people are doing such things. What kind of the factors drives, underline such aspects like religious division and religious persecution? What do you think?
For me, there are so many factors. Yeah, one of the biggest factors is ignorance. Most of the, like you mentioned, rape, kidnappings, and all that, most of the people involved in those criminalities, they are not well informed. Most of them have been brainwashed. Just Islam and Christianity, of course, the minister, if it is a Christian church, the minister stands at the pulpit and he teaches the people about Jesus Christ, then the values of Christianity. As a priest, if I celebrate Mass, I teach the people about life. The same thing in Islam. In every mosque, there is a cleric called the Imam. So some of them, for one reason or the other, they are not well informed outside the Quran. Even the Quran, it will seem their knowledge of the Quran, the interpretation of the Quran, may be different from the true Islamic interpretation. So some of these clerics in the mosques, they brainwashed, they mislead their followers. A lot of misinformation about who a Christian is and why a Muslim must always see a Christian as an enemy and all that. So, and this, once somebody's mind is adulterated, and you are told, if you see a Christian, kill him, for instance. And that is what they do. Ignorantly, the young boys, they pick up those information, they work with them, and whether they see a good Christian or a bad Christian, they are all enemies. And mostly they target priests and sisters because for a lot of disinformation, they are told if you kill a clergyman, you have a lot of rewards and all that. So those kind of things, ignorance is one of the major factors causing this. And then, but also we must be honest to say that the killings and the rapes is not only on Christians. Even Muslim women, they kidnap, they rape them also. Yes, the core north, sometimes even among the Muslims community population, sometimes if they pick up a commuter transporter and there are women there, sometimes they don't ask whether they are Christians or Muslims. They rape and kill them. So, but ignorance is causing that. They don't go to school. Many of them involved in this, they don't know the value of life. If somebody knows the value of life and sees you as Dr. Christian now and knows your contribution to the community, he will find it difficult to waste your life. But somebody who has never gone to school and does not understand what life is and sees you, all he knows is he wants to kill you. So you see lack of adequate education,
Yeah.
very poor exposition to the value of life, and then this religious bigotry built into their minds that you hate anybody that is not a Muslim. And those are the factors, contributing. And then this, as I've mentioned, religious superiority. They feel that Islam is a superior religion, and it must be by force. That force concept. You must be forcefully accepting Islam. If where you say no, the next option is what? Death. So those are the kind of factors contributing to, and then the will for power. Like you said, Boko Haram, the history of Boko Haram in Nigeria, a politician brought in few rebels from Niger Republic into Maiduguri, the northeastern part, and it started over 2 decades. 2001, about 2001, it started. He wanted to win election, and he was afraid he may not win, so he needed protection, and brought in some external forces, touts that would fight, and so at the end of the day, these boys they brought in. They now discover that, so these politicians, they have no protection outside us. So it means we can actually take over the state and govern it and implement Islamic laws. That was the genesis of all this. And then their own concept, Boko Haram, is anything Western education is to be scrapped. So that was how they started. So Chibok girls, because it is a school 100% Western education, so it has to be destroyed. So they kidnap the ladies, and once they attack a school, everybody will disperse. So that is closed down. If it is a church, they attach a parish here. By next Sunday, for instance, out of fear, nobody will be willing to come to. In our diocese, we have churches in the villages that have been shut down because the entire villages are attacked and everybody is afraid to go to church. So a few of our priests have been kidnapped and released and all those kind of things due to ignorance, mainly ignorance, lack of proper education, adulteration of faith. They are made to think only Islam should thrive, no other religion. And for me, those are the major factors that are, then the politics of power, they want to be seen, because there are some places they have pegged their flags and said they are now in charge of here, they govern here, and you pay revenue to the terrorists. And so, but all this is due to lack of proper enlightenment. They're supposed to know that governance has to do with constitution, with power, proper transmission of power, but they want to do it by force. And so, but this thing makes the communities ungovernable. That is, then you see there will be chaos, there is confusion, the government is not able to control them, the people are left at the mercy of Boko Haram, and that kind of situation, mostly in northern region, is difficult. In the southern part, we have less of those kind of things. And it's also, even if you see it in the south or west, it's among those few because the South and the West, there is high level of education. People go to school. People try to value life. People try to make life meaningful to themselves, except a few who might. So you have few cases. But in the far north, this Islamization agenda is what is causing the whole of that persecution. And so Christians, we rely on God's help. I always tell my people that no matter what happens, we will survive it. So that is it. For me, those are the factors. Yes. There are many other factors.
I will also add earthly pleasure
Yeah.
in case of rape. Those who are not patient enough, they can't wait for their time to marry. Seeking for earthly pleasure, they engage themselves in raping young ladies, even married women. Another factor is unemployment. High rate of unemployment. Some youths are there. And that unemployment, I will join it with poverty. Since there is high rate of unemployment, there must be poverty. And some must feed. So they go into kidnapping in order for them to feed themselves and to survive. Also, another factor, I would say laziness. You must not be employed to sustain yourself. Sister talked about entrepreneurship and skill acquisition. You can do another thing. So laziness is one of the factors. Unemployment, earthly desires, and others.
And also, fanatics could also be one of the points. In their religion, there are so many fanatics who will, maybe because of misconception or this malinformation, they will understand that, as Father said, that Islam is the highest or the best religion so far. So they hold on to that and inculcate that to their younger ones, especially the uneducated, uncivilized, unenlightened. They believe it and take it the way as raw as it is, that if you are a Muslim, you are number one citizen. If you are not a Muslim, you are nothing. You're supposed not to exist. So, and with this fake promise that when you kill a priest, you have reward. When you kill a sister, a nun, you have 10 virgins in the next world. So that's, in fact, they feel themselves and feel their younger ones, especially uneducated Muslims, unexposed, illiterate, so to say. They have it at the back of their mind that is how most of them don't have even the copy of the Quran, talk of reading it. They don't have access to it, so they don't know what Quran is saying about the faith. So it is what the Imam gives to them, that is what they have. Unlike in the Christian religion, almost everybody has the Bible, knows what the Bible is talking about. But in the Quran, in the Islamic religion, the younger ones, all these fanatics and uneducated young boys, and they don't have background, well-trained or well-formed or, nurtured background. Like some of them started as Almajiri. From that Almajiri, they don't have parents, no home, just roaming around the street under the control of the Imam, who cannot even nurture them well or even feed them well and take care of them properly. They grow up like touts, street boys. So, when they grow up like that, at the end of the day, they have no work, no education, just nothing. They see themselves, you see them messy. That's the people they use. When Boko Haram started, they say suicide bombers. They use them as suicide bombers because they have nothing to lose. no family, no work, no nothing. That life is for them is useless. It's better they take that little token and waste away their life and the lives of others. So now they also use them as these kidnappers. Somebody will be in the bush and they'll promise you maybe €1, $1 or $10 and keep you in the bush for days without food, and they trained you with how to use gun. And when those whom they kidnap will pay ransom, they pay the money to the top people. And those who are in the field have nothing to gain, so they become like wild animals, so to say. So in the name of serving their leaders or their religion. So these are the points that we make Muslims think that they are the best or they are on top. And I can say our leaders or their own leaders put it to them that immunity covers them. When you get any of them, to bring them to law. Those under who are making the laws, they are there. The politicians are there, protecting them. Put them to prison or cell or whatever to bring them to law. You can't get anything. Judiciary, our judiciary, in fact, they are full in the judiciary, judges and all the rest of them. So when you bring those people to law or to court, you can't get any justice because they are serving them. The top politicians, they are the one sending them to do those kind of things because they are gaining. They are gaining, so to say, that when you had here in the news that Nigeria is corrupt, Nigeria is this, fighting and all the rest of them, maybe the Western world compensates them. So with that, they want that war or that kidnapping or Boko Haram or banditry to increase the more because of the gain they get from the Western world. So they will not want it to stop. Yeah. So like some of the modern states, even is now extended to southeast or southern states or eastern states in the country, that mostly in the north, they are farmers, majority farmers. Because of insecurity, most of them don't enter the farm again. If you go there, you see the banditries in the bush, the bandits in the bush. So if you are not safe, secured enough, they can take you and begin to call money. If you begin to resist, they will shoot you. So nobody can bring them to law because our top politicians are inside the case.
Okay, terrorism is a global challenge, and in line with what we've shared already, when you look at the Nigerian situation, we have porous borders. The borders are porous, and we have some forests that are not guarded. So because of the porous nature, we can have people coming in unchecked. That could result to some of those things. And in the real sense, the whole thing is general. Because when we talk about kidnapping, it's not only the Christians that have been kidnapped, others are also affected, like those schools that were attacked, like Chibok school now. There were some Muslims there also, to some extent. So it's a general problem. And it also boils down to the issue of corruption, which is endemic from top to bottom. So when things are not the way they're supposed to be, it can lead to other things. The issue of corruption has made it impossible for people to have something to do, like creation of employment, as Father said. So because of that, they say that an idle mind is devil's workshop. So people are kind of looking for easiest way to make it. And it can be from the north, from the south, anywhere. So those are the experiences. I think that is it. Those could be part of the factors of what you're experiencing.
The factor of porous borders, is a calculated one, because the government, in their appointments, for instance, all the borders in the north, you rarely can find a Christian being the director of immigrations or customs. They're all Muslims. So, and I interpret it as calculated because they are their people, they know who to come in and who not to come in. They do it. So you can have somebody from Nigeria and he enters Nigeria through the north, and because majority of those in charge are Muslims, so of course, what happens there, nobody is in the true picture of it. And now, gradually, even in the southern part, appointments are made. You hardly will see most of the commissioners of police in the south are Muslims. And you wonder why. So if you really want to do a check and balance system, we must have a situation where, okay, let Christians handle borders in the north to know who comes in and what happens. But because of bad corrupt leadership, these things are calculated. And as far as I am, my own personal opinion, these are part of the Islamization agenda of Nigeria. There are things happening in the borders. We talk about headsmen, these headsmen attackers, and up to today nobody is able to explain where exactly they are coming from. It's because of porous borders in the north. So they move with their cows in and out every direction. And so, but there is an undertone agenda. That is what we in the north, we strongly feel. So if you have porous borders, of course, if the government wants to control it, it can always be reviewed. And you can transfer and put new officers to see. But there's no possibility, I'm not sure, if a Christian director of customs will survive any state in the north. Even the pressure, the tension of religion alone will make him not to like to stay in such states. So so we have porous borders, yes, but again, the government can always regulate and control if they want. But there's a very poor political will.
All these are done because of self-interest.
Yes, so...
They want to retain the
and
power.
all in the name
That's
of
all.
religion.
In order to retain the power, they can do everything to manipulate whatever it is to retain the power. Self-interest, nothing more. What they gain, if we step down, we are losing. But they want to retain it for their future generations. Yeah. So because of that, that's selfish interest. That's all.
Recently,
don't do anything.
One of the bishops
maintain themselves on that seat.
One of the bishops in Nigeria, actually, he stated it openly, that it's time for Nigeria to go separate paths. And the bishop of Sokoto, he said it's on media. He said for him, he feels it's time, let the southern part becomes a country on its own, the western a country of its own, middle belt a country of its own,
Confederation.
The north a country of their own.
Yeah, confederation.
So that those who want to develop their country should go ahead. Instead of every election, things will go wrong, we hope to correct it, and people were blaming, like what Father said, yes, we know both Muslims and Christians are kidnapped and killed, but you need to sit down and fact-checking numbers. How many clerics have been killed? How many imams have been kidnapped? How many priests have been kidnapped? And you see that the number of priests kidnapped and pastors far outweighs those of imams. So those are when you talk about numbers and you see, you cannot kill 3 or 4 priests and then you kill one imam and you said, oh, the imams are also being kidnapped. So it's true. Muslims are kidnapped, Christians are kidnapped, but if you go to, I have visited internally displaced persons, IDP camps. I have visited more than 18 in some of the researches we carry out, and you listen to people's stories. And you come to realize in Plateau State, many camps, almost the whole of the camps, one man told us there were Muslims there before, but over time, all the Muslims, IDPs, were retrieved, were pulled out. Quietly, they've been pulled out, they've been given better accommodation and all that, but others are left in the camp there. And he experienced a very painful experience. The federal government said if you are in an internally displaced person camp, they give you an identity card for you to have free access to medical care and all that. But he said his son was sick, and they went to a federal medical center, and the management said, no, we won't treat you until you pay.
Right.
And he had no money. He had been forced to migrate from his place to a camp. And he said his child died. You know, and we interviewed him, and he gave us those kind of things. And he's a Christian. And he said to us, all the Muslims that we ran into this place with, gradually the people have come to retrieve them back. They're giving them better environment, better housing and all that. But what happens to us? So yes, we know quite right. The terrorism affects Christians and Muslims, but in numbers. If fact-checking could be done, you will see that Christians are targeted more. Christians are targeted more. Sometimes even one of our professors said that if it happens to Muslims, in most cases, it's mistakes. The terrorists, mistakenly, they would think it's a Christian, only to find out that they have attacked Muslims. He said those ones are mistaken identities, which in some cases, but these are statements that need verification. But based on his experience, you know, a mistaken identity, you could be mistaken for a Christian or a Muslim. So it's possible they enter a community and they think they are kidnapping Christians only to discover that, no, that side is. So those cases are there. We have experiences, both Christians and Muslims are kidnapped, but when you go to fact-checking, you talk of numbers, you see that there are big differences.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But terrorism cuts across. In other countries of the world, there is terrorism, yes, but even in Europe, there are acts of terrorism, but they are treated by the judicial system. Yeah, but most acts of terrorism, there must be a target, maybe political leaders. There's a fight among, but this experience of Nigerian own is a kind of terrorism on religious lines.
Yeah.
That is where I don't.
Religion.
You know, terrorism is in categories. I've done some research on terrorism, and in mostly if it is on politics, there must be targeted group, and in Europe, you call those kind of groups mafia. You have the mafia. Mafia, their mode of operation is not far from what is happening in some parts of Nigeria. But we just lump it and say terrorists. Otherwise, some of them, they have formed more of mafia groups, and they have targeted people. Some their target is priests. They must carry a priest or a religious, you know, or a pastor of a church. So that is a kind of mafia kind of thing. But because it is Nigeria, again, there is no proper media coverage, documentation, and all that. So the word terrorism is what the international media uses. But strictly speaking, some of those things, if they are given proper coverage, media coverage, we will identify names of them, and you discover there are a mix-up of so many things under cover of terrorism in Nigeria.
Every war, every rebellion, every terrorist attacks many times make and made a pressure into the simple people to escape.
Yeah.
We are talking about the refugees. Refugees can be internally, so from one state to another state, between states, from one country to another country,
For safety.
and also from between continents. So I think in Europe there was a lot of articles and materials about the mass migrations from Africa, sub-Saharan
Yeah.
Africa, into the Europe. So I'm curious, in your opinion, what should be the reaction of government, Nigerian government, maybe ECOWAS reaction, African Union reactions, or European Union reaction for the factors who impacted into the simple people and make a pressure to them to escape? Or maybe it should be the global people reaction, Europeans, Americans from Asia.
Yeah, when you talk of government, what the government should do?
Yes, for example.
Yeah, but in Nigeria, I'm not sure the government is interested in mass migration. Because a government that is concerned will try to put up strategies that will stop this migration.
Stop.
For instance, a government can decide to say, oh, what, there is massive migration of medical doctors from Nigeria. They want to work outside, in Europe, in America. So the government is supposed to say, okay, now we want to put up good modern hospitals with facilities that our doctors will be convenient to work and all that. I'm not sure any government is interested in that. Most of the governors, from the national to state, local, everybody, it has become a kind of a self-centered
Yeah, selfish
government.
interest.
Everybody tries to
Selfish
protect
interest.
his interests. They want the governors, the politicians will want their children to be in Poland here.
Overseas.
They pay the bills,
Europe.
pay the bills in America, but not in Nigeria. So you have a minister of education, for instance, his son is not schooling in Nigeria. He's in Europe somewhere, he pays his school fees, but he is minister of education in the country. So how would that work? How would that work? So those are the things, when the government seem not to have interest in the populations, there will be and then there is threat to life, there will be mass migration. People will scamper for where to feel safe. So you have thousands of Nigerian doctors in the UK alone. Here in Poland, you'll be surprised to find Nigerian doctors working, nurses, engineers, computer engineers and all that. And it's simply because of the poor political will by the government. You have many some of our staff who started in the Polytechnic and they found their way. They are lecturing in Europe. They got better appointments where they feel safe. So the government is not, I'm not sure any Nigerian government, but you know, it's bureaucracy. If you sit with the president of Nigeria here or any minister in Nigeria here, they will tell you sweet mouth. They will tell you a lot of policies they have drawn. They are even hoping for a better, but all that is fake. It's not real. It's not real. We struggled the last 8 years of General Buhari as president. Everywhere he went for interview, he tells the media of imaginary achievements in Nigeria that if you come, and that is why last year during the Global Challenge, I said, why can't the media, why can't international media, CNN, BBC, Russia Today, all those international, why can't they fact-check some of this information? When you interview politicians and they give you information, and there should be that connection that as you are interviewing somebody here, you are linked to certain media houses in that country, then you can fact-check. Is this true? If a president is here and tells you he has built 20 universities in Nigeria, and he give you, you should be able to ask of a list or names, and Your Excellency, this can be verified. We would like to verify this. And you know whether it is true or not. If a president says he is not owing civil servants salaries, federal civil servants, it should be fact-checked. So there is that media propaganda that what is on ground is different from what the international world is being presented with. You know, when Rafa came to Nigeria and we were going to Mina, and we stopped at the place and I showed him the road, a third road. It's supposed to be 17 kilometers, and the third just a kilometer, but in the media it was presented as completed. So, and if you are not there, you won't know that the road is not completed. So you have all kinds of what the international media, fake news kind of things, they present to people, but underground, I'm telling you, the government has no measures to stop this migration, massive migrations. But if they put up measures, of course, it can stop. If a medical doctor has a good hospital to work and do his practice and is paid very well, he will be interested in working in the country. But when you hear your colleagues in Poland are earning 10,000 euros or Polish money, and back home you don't earn up to 1,000, it's frustrating. So you begin to think of, oh, help me out, I want to move out to Europe. That is what is happening. In the academia, it's the same thing. Many professors living for Europe, for America, in the health sector, talk about it. And then at the grassroots level, people running for safety. Many people are forced to leave their homelands where there is insecurity to move into urban cities, whichever way you could survive. You have no money to go to Europe, you have to struggle to survive within your reach. So those migrations, both internal and external, they are there due to poor governance. Poor governance. There is no politician that will convince me that there is good governance as it is in Nigeria now. But politicians, they have sweet mouth.
Yes.
They can tell you, if you interview them, they'll give you 120 reasons.
Promises.
Millions of reasons, and why they will convince you this is the right thing we're doing. But you cannot be doing the right thing where majority of the people are not benefiting, are suffering.
So we can only have hope that someday the
Yes.
peaceful coexistence will be between
Yes,
many
if you
religions.
remember the other day, His Lordship was talking about a stolen mandate, that a president who stole the mandate from the people and becomes a president, what do you hope to get from him? If a thief steals your money and tell you he will use it to take care of you, are you sure he will do it? It's not possible. So the leadership, most of the leaders, they stole the mandate and they are just there for their own selfish gains. But we are hoping that God, being the God He is, we serve, we are hoping that there will certainly be a time that good governance will be restored in the country. Yeah, we are hoping the next, maybe the next election that will come in 2027, the suffering levels in Nigeria alone is enough for people to make up their minds and say, look, we're no longer interested. Let's sit down and step by step to follow up these procedures.
So let's stay with this hope. We almost finished our debate today. So I want to say thank you very much for your excellency to be with us, sister, dear fathers. It's important debate because it's also the role of the teachers to just inform about what is going on and what is the truth. And real witnesses from the Nigeria is the best source of the knowledge. So also thank you very much that you share with us your knowledge, your experience, and your hope for the better and bright future.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. You see that I'm sitting down listening to my people because they are witnesses, eyewitnesses. So they tell you what they feel, what they have seen. But there's an aspect that we don't want to touch. slave trade. People came from outside to steal from us, to take our resources that God has given to us. Because the scripture tells us that God who has created us has given us talents and potentialities and expect us to use our hands, use our feet, develop them. And then the prophet Isaiah tells us that God sends rain to enable us till the ground, to plant, have enough to eat, and then have some left over to prepare for the upper year. But are we using those talents and potentialities the way that God wants us to use? No. Unfortunately, no. So, man inhumanity to man. You can also say woman inhumanity, or humanity to woman. So greed comes in. The other day I was asking, you remember at table, why is it that there are challenges? Why is it that we fight and quarrel? The birds and the animals on top are laughing at us. Two birds were having their seminar like this. And one said to the other, look at those human beings, the way they are moving. They don't even stop to greet one another. The other bird says, don't mind them. They don't have a God as our own God. Our God is a lovely God, a merciful God, but their own different. I said, let me show you. Look on your right. Do you not see corn there? You see corn, you see rice. Look at the other side. You see fruit, different kinds of fruit. Look over there, you see water. If you want to eat rice, you eat rice. If you want to eat corn, you eat corn. Then take any type of vegetable, any type of fruits you like. And then there's water over there, you just go down, drink. So the other person, I agree with you. And we don't need to fight. Plenty enough there, plenty here, plenty here. The water is there. So why are we quarreling and fighting? Greed. Want everything to be just me.
Selfish interest.
Me. Here you have developed with the grace, talent that God has given to you to get water from there, down. And you don't keep it to yourself. I hear that 3/4 of the city enjoys that water. And we are here enjoying it also. If we are politicians, we will just be enough here to just chop life here, enjoy, and go home without thinking of the polytechnic, Seminary Polytechnic. So I have also come here to learn. So I'm listening to them. So when we go, how shall we improve Seminary Polytechnic? So thank you very much for bringing us together. May God bless us.
Amen.
And bless you people, bless the whole world.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for this speech. Thank you, sister. Thank you, fathers. A Państwu dziękuję za wysłuchanie tej niezwykłej debaty na temat prześladowań religijnych i masowych migracji i zapraszam na kolejne wydarzenia organizowane przez Akademię Kultury Społecznej i Medialnej w Toruniu, Biuro Współpracy Międzynarodowej oraz Regionalny Ośrodek Debaty Międzynarodowej w Toruniu. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And may God bless all
Dziękuję.
our viewers, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen.